Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of a talk with the elementals. This is actually a very interesting one. This came up as a past life for myself, which affected my right shoulder. I had a numb spot appear on my right shoulder, right in here, up towards the top, that other beings were exploiting and interfering with and being drawn to like a portal. And I just didn't know what the hell, why they were constantly attracted to that spot. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. And Joanna finally, I asked her to see what she could see about it. And she saw a big axe wound right there. That was made by a gigantic being that, in my opinion, he looks like a bear, but they would say that they're not really related to any known species. It's like they remind me of a bear with horns and like bear paws, and feet. First, I thought they were bear squatches, but they're not. And they are hill or mountain dwelling folk. And you wonder how there's this much room for all these different species, especially elemental ones. But yeah, they are up here in Arizona. I'll read from the notebook here in a moment. But this axe that I was hit with was made of stone and iron. Like, these people are very efficient with stone carving, where they put the iron edge on the edge of the stone, like they're able to inlay it in there to where it is like this sharp edge. It's blunt, but it has like a sharp edge to it. Or they dip it in it somehow, and they're able to shape it. And they're actually quite good at doing that. And I do believe they do artwork. I see caves and different places where they live up in the mountains. They weren't comfortable with doing any sort of channeling. But at first I thought they were from another time frame, because they seemed like they were out of place here, because they speak differently than other elementals. They're very isolated. It's like they've had very little contact with the outside world. Okay. Also, it's making my nose flare up too. But in that past life, I was one of these creatures, or these beings. I shouldn't say creature, that could be derogatory. And got into a fight with this particular one, and I got the axe to the shoulder. I mean, that's not the only thing going on with it. It's just one of the things. So energy weights, what these things can do is they can compound over many lifetimes. It's like if you were to, say, have a scar, and then you got a cut on top of that, and then that healed, and you got another cut on top of that. It's that where they can affect you in this lifetime very, very adversely. They can affect your health. They can affect your abundance. They can affect your path. What drags you down? What injuries get attracted to where? It's basically like the basic law of attraction, where they will attract different, like, accidents, let's say, or different injuries. Like, I knew somebody who was King Henry VIII in a past life, where King Henry VIII had his head injuries and his knee injury. This guy kept getting the same injuries over and over again because he would not acknowledge that particular lifetime and would not transmute that. So what...
You know what? Go over there and get that. I'm just realizing that guy on the shelf, not the one with the horns, but the one beside it.
Oh, they both have horns.
Well, the littler one. Because the thing that I saw was bigger than him. It's kind of funny because this is what I saw. I just looking at it, not necessarily, although I did see, I swear I thought I saw like horns. But what I was saying to Chris is, I was like, Chris, I don't know that this is human, because it really did look like a puffball. That's why it's kind of funny, because of the hair or whatever. It's kind of funny. I just happened to glance over there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is funny, because it was brownish, but it was like, it really was like a puffball. And I was thinking, how Indians or
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mimic stuff like this. Yeah,
But
yeah.
they'll put on a bear skin or something to keep warm, but it forms more to the body. Really, this was more like I couldn't figure out what it was. So it was interesting to hear that it wasn't anything wearing something. It literally
Yeah, he's
was
covered in hair. Yeah, like
covered
that
in this.
statue. Yeah, granted there are goat squatches that also have this kind of form too, but with the ram-like horns that are covered in hair like this, that are more Viking looking. At the same time, there's goat slash Viking looking people that I've run across as well. But this is different. This is hair like that statue where it's all
It's
like
yeah, it was
mm,
way different than anything. It almost be like, you know, a dog or a goat, and then you take all their hair off and they're really skinny. I mean, it was just this big puff of stuff. But the one that swung the axe was considerably
bigger. Bigger than me, yeah.
Yeah.
He was huge. I would have to say, size-wise, you're dealing with beings that are maybe 12 to 15 feet tall, something like that. Huge beings. Like they're in a caveman stage of development. I don't believe they are technologically advanced in any way. No, you're not. Well, okay. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I'll go into this and then they can answer stuff, but it's they don't want to do the channel thing. I don't know why they don't like it, but
And just to clarify, they're currently around?
yeah.
Okay.
I thought they were in a different time frame
Yeah.
coming forward, but no, they are currently here. So it's like I can see them. They're like big. I can see them in the sunlight now. They have almost a human slash bear appearance. It's like a both, and they're covered in hair, even their faces, and then they're like poofed out like this guy here, and that's very interesting. And they have axe weapons. They also carry. They also have a war club that has like a rock on the end of it, like a mace. Um, that's like the like carved stone that has like glyphs all along the outside of it. Why they put glyphs on the weapon end itself, I don't know. It's a wand too. Okay, like magic. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, here's what this guy had to say. I said, "Hello, who are you?" And he says, "I am Tubratson, and I am here to finish something that began a very long time ago. This is this related to my etheric shoulder wound? Yes, it is. I did that to you." And I said, "Why? What were the circumstances?" And he says, "You were like me, and we were fighting, and I hurt you bad. This wound killed you." Now, this is the way they talk. They talk very short, like this. I said, "What was the fight about?" He said, "Stupid things. The axe that I used was made of stone and iron. It hurt a lot." And I said, "Well, to Bratson, you're forgiven." And he said, "Thank you. Sorry for the impatience earlier." He came through, and he was rather impatient to come through. He was quick to temper in that area. So it just hurt to see you in such weirdness. He said. I said it was pretty creepy, but it is much better now. Why was it that I could not see you before tonight? And I was wondering why that layer had not presented itself all the times that I've said whatever does not serve needs to come out and get fixed or resolved. He said it's because you and your woman, named Joanna, unlocked it to the point where I could appear. That's the way it got fixed. It took another party to do it, or like another energy to unhinge it, I guess. Which begs the question: how's somebody supposed to fix it if they have nobody else to see it? But that's a question I'll put out there for maybe another discussion. But let's see. And I said, "Where are you from, Tubratson?" He said, "I am from right here in your home state of Arizona. We are mountain-dwelling peoples. We come from We come down from the hills and rocks to seek out food, new air, quote unquote, meaning etherics, and new environments to settle. Mostly all, though, have been claimed by humans now. I said, are you from a different time or this one? No, we are from right here, right now. What race type are you and your people? Undefined race type, he said. And okay. I said, that just means that I want to know what your people are, and elemental, galactic. He goes, nature for sure. So elemental then is that this is good? Yes. I said, yeah, yes, it is good. He said, good. Are you related to any of our animal species? No, I am myself to my own type. Good. I said, yes, it is good. Thank you to Bronson. You are welcome, human, without wounds from me any longer. I will speak again very soon to you. Sleep on it for now, for sure. Thank you. I look forward to it soon. Bye now. And yeah, uh, it was just a karmic thing that had to be resolved. I'm thinking this was like a very long time ago. I have this feeling these beings live a long time because they have they've not progressed too much beyond like the caveman type of stage. I think it's just a preferred existence. It's like, say if a race was isolated, like there was that race they showed in Star Trek Voyager that time where it was isolated and they hadn't progressed too much in thousands of years. I think it's like that, where it's just a chosen state of being, where they've had very little outside, I don't want to say influence. I'm thinking they live in their own pocket because somebody would have seen these guys by now because they're big and there's a lot of them. So I'm thinking they live in their. Somebody isolated them in their own bubble that had technological capabilities because they seem to they're up in the hills, but they seem to be in their own space.
So they're saying they've not had military interaction or other galactic interaction.
Not at all. They just kept themselves for. They don't even. I don't even think they can tell time the same way. It's to us. It would be. I would say millions of years because they're or at least hundreds of thousands. I think they preceded any Orion invasion influences of any kind because they're from a completely different era. This is why I picked up different time, but I believe they've lived this long. And somebody had the foresight to put up a pocket around them when there was an invasion of, when the Dark Orions came in, because it was, they would have been, the Dark Orions would have used them as a slave force immediately, especially ones this strong and this big. They would have grabbed them, they would have scooped them up like nothing at that time. So, they would have said, beings with big muscle mass, with being able to lift things, they could do stuff for us. They would have turned them into a slave race. So,
did they watch history that was happening going on?
They're saying we saw things take place like a shimmer. It was like they could see it like how we would view. Different history. Like there's this episode of old Star Trek where they asked this guardian of this time portal to show them Earth history, and they could see just different ages passing by like a screen, and that's how they saw it too. That was an episode called "The City on the Edge of Forever," where they had there was a time portal that they could view the entirety of Earth history. So it's like that, where they could see that they're aware of things happen. They're not stupid, but when they descended down from into the hills from where they are to come out of there, it appears they can go back and forth, but they noticed everywhere was occupied by humans. So it would appear almost like a time travel, because for them it's still in like a just starting of like an Iron Age for them. So I don't know if time has passed for them in the same, or they're just in how they were a long time ago, and they're just seeing it pass around them. I'm thinking that's the case.
Well,
Because
how long ago is his perspective on when your wound occurred? Just out of curiosity versus yours.
uh, not long. It wasn't like very long. It was like he saw it as like mere like a days, something like that. So it was like days or hours,
So this is almost current present for him.
Current, yeah, it's current present for him. It's not like they've aged that old. They're actually from that time frame. This is why I was confused as to what time they were from. They're here now, but all they can say is they're here in the moment now. They don't know that there's some kind of dilation there, time dilation. That whoever put it there wanted them to remain as they were. And because like the preservers in Star Trek, they tried to preserve civilizations. I feel it's like that. Yeah.
So since you don't look anything like you used to, I'm curious, how is he able to perceive and believe that that was you?
Energy. It was like
So
he could see like the original form, like the original me, but could still see the current me. Yeah, I think they're having trouble describing it. It's like an overlay or a.
So they have that ability to either see energies or understand energies. They're not. I know it's very difficult because why would they have tools with inscriptions on them? Why would they have certain things? And a lot of times we label certain races as being underdeveloped, but actually in some areas they're more highly evolved than we are.
Just like Neanderthals, people always use the term Neanderthal to say stupid or unevolved, when in fact they were more evolved spiritually and more evolved in a lot of societal areas that we don't know about yet. There's still Neanderthals around, and they're in the inner Earth. So I believe this society was like very much like a Neanderthal hominid type of race, except they do have animal traits to them. I can see animal like traits, like bear or some kind of predatory animal. Yeah, you can't compare them to something else because there isn't. It's just something similar.
So what is their relationship? When we use the word spiritual, does this race have an understanding of what we're trying to say?
Yeah, they do. They don't have the words. It's just
right,
that,
but they can feel it. So my question then is regarding to their spirituality and their relationship with the earth and things in general. I mean, what is their, I guess, philosophy of their type of spiritual living?
it's simple, really. They don't. See, how can I put it? They don't see anything. They don't displace themselves outside of themselves, if that makes any sense. They're trying to describe what goes on with humans, and it's they don't they live for now. That's why they couldn't say any time. It was like they live for now. And their spiritual moment is they commune with the earth where they are in that bubble. It's like if we were to step back into caveman times and hang out like with Neanderthals and Cro-Magnon, and it's like that, where they're just communing with the earth. They do art, they do paintings, and they do have a chronicle of history that would have been lost had that bubble not been put in there. Orions would have erased it immediately to use them as slaves. So they've lucked out by steering clear of any of the conflicts with the Orions over the years, or any of the human servants, or any of the other alien servants. I don't think it was for a lack of trying. I think other beings found it and tried to get in there, but they found but didn't know what it was. Okay, but they're back to their spirituality. It's just a being. That's all they're able to describe it as. It's like they're
Do you
in
do
harmony with the earth. Yeah.
And this is just curious because, sometimes groups get into certain uh, types of practices or certain types of showing ceremonies or showing respect. Or again, I guess I'm getting back to the curiosity of why there was, and you were saying those um, pieces that they were holding not only could be weapons, but they were also in a sense, magical or wand-like.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what were there any types of honoring ceremonies or anything like that you do, and why is these glyphs on?
Yeah, the glyphs on the weapon look almost rune-like. Oh, they look like Viking runes, actually, sort of. There's different looks to them. Like there, and we'll see if I can show one of them. It's let me see here. All right. And then, yeah, it's like this kind of where that seems to be a symbol that's like a precursor for like downloading etheric information to it's like a precursor of every sentence, like a prefix, where it combines with there's like this stone. It's like an orb shaped like this, and the runes are all along the center of this. Now, could that be construed as technology? Possibly, because it looks like it may have a stone technological base to it. I'm thinking somebody shared something with them at some point because to keep them protected. I think that particular mace, it's like a ball on a stick, but it has like leather wrapping and like hide pieces, and you can see like pelt, like little beads and pieces and stuff on it. I feel that I'm thinking somebody shared this with them. I'm thinking that can make it so they can pass between the barrier and out. That's obviously a piece of technology, stone technology somewhere, but I don't think they view it that way. I think they view it as magic, but they're still able to mentally control. Somebody align their brainwaves to it, or align their energy to it. So obviously somebody paid them a visit at some point. It's whomever put the barrier up, I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's possibly they're giant, like Scandinavian giants, or somebody Scandinavian based did it because they seem to have a Viking-like culture, but tribal almost. So it's but this also helps clear the air. They use it in like ceremonies. I can see them moving it around like this. It's kind of like how Thor's hammer was to Thor, or Excalibur was to King Arthur.
So what are their ceremonies about? What are they doing?
I can see them lighting a fire and using this thing along with the axes to they put the axes on like the four corners of the fire, and which those they've made themselves. With this thing, they pull out of a stone vault, and they twirl it around like this. And they are able to what are you doing with the fire, guys? Speaking to whom? Speaking to the earth through the fire, or is it the essence of the fire? Essence of elements, you're saying? You believe it's the essence of elements? Are there any other beings that speak to you that way? No, just the earth and elements. Okay. And you're using that to open a portal through the fire, or to enhance it somehow. It's attuned to the fire. How? Uh, just the elements, and it can conjure up the winds and the rains and the clouds and the dust. Okay, and but what? How is that as a ceremonial type of thing? What does that? What does that do? It's a blessing for the whole area, very much like how. Oh, I get it. He was hearing my words earlier during my session. He was saying it's like how when an audit is conducted, of land, like cleaning the energetic particulates. And does this spread beyond your barrier? It does. By how much? So everywhere. You're meaning, oh, I get it. You're saying the vibrations that you are creating is actually like healing an area, is what you're saying. Okay, there's a fairy race that does something similar. That's also in a pocket near your location. So if I had to judge a location, they're up in the mountains. I'm thinking somewhere like Flagstaff or somewhere in that area, somewhere where there's a lot of mountains and hills, and further over into California. I'm thinking, and up into Colorado. I'm thinking, but their bubble, I don't think, is quite that large. I see that they sometimes get snow and ice, which that doesn't bother them at all. And but their spiritual practices are for, it's like maintenance and upkeep. It's like somebody knew that they could maintain something even at their current belief structure.
And then the goal is it bleeds through here.
It bleeds through here. You know, yeah. That's what. So obviously, somebody from former House M knew that that they were perfect for maintaining this and not be discovered. Somebody took great pains into them not being discovered, and but people yet could incarnate amongst them. Obviously, I had the incarnation. For me, it was a very long time ago, extremely long, extreme age. And these were like almost like custodians, like they're before all that happened. It's like they were maintainers or custodians of the earth.
But they're not monks, because obviously there was fighting that happened.
Yeah, they're not monks. They're not saints by any stretch of the imagination. No, they get angry fairly quickly and they get impatient fairly quickly. I don't think, no offense to them, but I don't think there's certain things that have developed the same as us. Like they're like an earlier hominid of some kind. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they're developed in certain areas.
I just think it's important to say that they have the spectrum of emotion.
They have the spectrum of emotion.
Because, it's this thought that, all these spiritual people, past, present, future, however you want to think of it, are all these just in one, I hate to use the word monotone, but I don't know how else to say it, one monotone way of being. And I'm like, that's really not true. I mean, to be balanced, you have to hold the full spectrum. And, obviously it's not, not always cool to harm somebody else. I'm not saying that, but just to give the truth of the situation that, there's always this part also going with emotions and feelings, even though then there are the times of trying to do great balancing, and it's not just everyone. And it, because we're kind of like, we always get a red flag if somebody's only one way.
Only one way.
We feel like, well, I don't think they're balanced.
Well, yeah, they're
not that they maybe that race couldn't be, and they are that way. But I'm just saying it seems to throw a red flag up for us if we don't see a wider range of emotions.
Oh yeah, they do fight on how to do things, and the fact that Dra-gri said it was over something stupid. This is actually more important than people think, because that could have been some kind of influence that bled through back to them. Maybe more, maybe while history was going on. I'm thinking, okay, what I feel is during the time frame that Dra-gri and I had fought, it was as the ages were passing by here. Before that came to a halt, their enclosure realigned with everything else. I'm thinking the vibrations they were putting out was affecting all the edges of history on the other end of the barrier, and somebody sensed it and possibly hit back. More likely, like an Orion decided to hit, and it was temporary. It was like boom. It was like really quick. Like they sensed something was up, but not enough to really do enough about it. I don't think they could. I don't think even if they decided to show up on the other side of that barrier, I doubt whether they could do anything. Even especially now. This was in a different age. I'm guessing sometime around the time of the Roman Empire or something like that. That's why I pick up as Rome, like the beings that existed around that time. I think, yeah, somebody else is saying yes to that. That's a validation that it was to them. It was like quick pass by, but for us, it was around the time of the Roman Empire that there was a strike. Even though I had other incarnations that existed at that time, there was still an expression that existed in the bubble, say, and came in, boom, and I'm thinking the Orions wanted to cause some kind of stir inside of there so that it would collapse from within, and that I don't think it was possible to do that. I think they felt as if the energy vibration dropped that they could infiltrate it, and that's the one and only time I think that's the one and only time they attempted to gain entry into that enclosure, and they stopped after a while because it was too much of a pain in the butt. But yes, to Bratson says he said we would say damn right. Okay, all right, but that's what caused the that momentary influence there. They're usually very kind, but they also experience like the full spectrum of emotions. If one disagrees with another, of course they get mad over it, or irritated, or something like that, or happy, or something. It's not. They have the full spectrum of emotions, but they don't always have the words to describe them. It's their vocabulary is slightly limited, but they're able to do very well because their enclosure, when they were able to come out of there again, it aligned to this time. It's like somebody fast forwarded it up to now. It's like somebody had time to put the egg timer on and went ding, 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 and and time went around it like that, and they were always like right there. Everything flowed around them, and then now it's all synced. Even though they have an enclosure that the Orion still can't get in, it's more succinct to now. So one of us could pass back and forth if we had the device to do it. But the only key to get in there, they possess it. They have it. It's almost like locking your keys in the car and locking the car. We can't get in there. They have to. It's by invite only. They're in the car. We're outside the car. They're the ones hitting the button down, pretty much. So it's like they have the keys to the vehicle. So and somebody was very meticulous and setting it up that way too.
So, besides the physical wound that was festering in him present moment here, is there anything else not for his highest good that has bled into this current present moment that needs to be brought to his attention? Or was it just literally the physical wound?
It was just a physical wound. Just like with any wound, healing takes time. It was the quantum entanglement, since things were existing at practically the same moment, where it was building up to kind of like where that's synced up. It's like with the secret space program stuff, where it's that quantum entanglement. That's what that was. It may have been a past life, but since there is no such thing as past, it was like,
right.
It was all now. And especially in an area enclosure like they're in, of course it probably affected every single frigging incarnation of mine that passed around it. Like, say it was fixed. This is how I'm seeing it. This is the download surrounding us. It was fixed. And say if I had an incarnation in ancient Rome, he was probably complaining about his shoulder, or somebody even further back than the enclosure, further back even to Atlantis. He was probably complaining about it. You don't know. So therefore, it may have attracted wounds all through history. because of that constant. It's like that egg timer going
So
like that. So
the
yeah.
reason I asked that, and again, this is again disclosing a little bit more about uh, us personally, but I at least want, since this is Patreon,
Mhm.
so on Patreon we feel like we can share a little bit more with you guys. So I know everyone's used to seeing Chris when he channels and everything. Again, is calm, cool, collective, got it under control. But really, he's very quick to temper, and it's not actually unusual for many people with certain psychic abilities or whatever. They actually, a lot of them are quick to temper.
Mhm.
So, and almost, um, a volatile, like calm, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. And, but it's not often talked about because, again, people want to only put their best foot forward, but it's not the truth of the situation. And we don't like not telling people the truth, because what if there's a child now growing up with these skills? That child's probably already, and the parents are already having to deal with things of quick to temper, things like that, because of the frustrations that have built that they may be keeping to themselves. And then all of a sudden it's 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. So the reason I bring that up is because, again, saying that this particular race is quick to temper, and and what you were just saying, so it makes me kind of ponder, is there any relationship, or is this just a part of your overall personality trait that probably, I think you've probably had some quick to temper in many, 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 many lifetimes. Sounds that way from some of your experiences. You know what I mean? Some of the things you were dealing with, and even in the backstage, and all of that SSP or whatever. So my question is, from somebody who has watched the, kind of a timeline, and again, also being present, do you think that uh, people with certain experiences, they just are constantly bringing in a personal trait over and over again? Does it always serve them?
Oh, you could be well, you drag stuff and mirror stuff from other lifetimes, but the temper can be like a sensitivity to the energies that are around now, including stuff from the past, and including, like, say, the stuff from Tabratson's area as well, where it interlinked with virtually every incarnation since practically the Roman Empire on. Of course, it's going to cause a compound energy wave that eventually came to pass now in these new energies as that weird numbness.
Right.
But I was also, at the same time, I was still feeling as the thing happened.
Right.
Or else I would have felt it before.
Right. So I just find something like that interesting because, again, part of all of the improvement we're always trying to do to become balanced is to, is there some of it that no longer serves you? So it seems to be, like I said, a personality trait of a lot of people that are in the position that Chris is in. Again, no one ever wants to admit it, and they'd love to shove it under the rug and pretend it really didn't exist. They go in, do their talks, do whatever. They look totally, different. And then, for, other parts of their days, there's that other. So again, I'm bringing it up because it's a truth, and it's not just Chris. It happens. And I think some of you guys out there that may be listening to this identify with it. So, I just, always wonder, is that in this current present moment really serving you? And is it some anchor being brought in through other lifetimes? Or are you meant to be carrying that, in these particular energies now, or is it not balanced? And I say that again, I'm not saying that just for you. I'm saying that as an overall general statement, because it seems to be to me, like I said, there are plenty of other people who have the same issue. And you always are, wondering, is this healthy or is this unhealthy? Is this even close to being balanced, or am I being driven crazy by the energies? Or
Mhm.
am I, maybe I'm not showing very good coping skills. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just bringing it up out of curiosity with someone who apparently from a long time ago, you had that trait as well.
Yes. Also, the fact that since there was that bridge between that expression of mine and that it was interlinked with all the incarnations that were on the outside of the bubble at the exact same time, overlapping, I'm thinking that's how the Orions were originally able to light the fuse back to, well,
Mhm.
ironically, short fuse, the whole situation by which then created it. See, you're dealing with supposed masters of time manipulation.
Mhm.
So if they saw some weird conundrum like that, they would take full advantage of that to try to penetrate the bubble. If they saw, it's basically the effect before the cause,
Mhm.
and therefore they caused the cause, but they saw the effect of what they caused before they caused it. So therefore, they caused it.
Mhm.
So therefore, they were able to bleed that into multiple uh, time frames and multiple incarnations from there. Even though they had just saw it, they were the catalyst by which it was created. It's weird. They saw, therefore they created it. Then on top of that, you have the energy sensitivities of myself and other people that are like that are having to deal with all of this nonsense, both genetic and energetic, or both intertwined, as the case may be. In a lot of cases anymore, I've been finding them both as one. In the genetic memory, since past lives go into the genetic memory, and all this stuff from parents go into the genetic memory, it's all having to be transmuted now. That also causes an instability. But like today in the session, there was somebody that the client told me was a friend of theirs who is just quickly being like co-opted because of the fact that he's not acknowledging himself as an energy sensitive. He won't believe it, but yet there it is right in his face. And his skepticism is being used against him. Not that skepticism is a bad thing. You should be skeptical about some things, or else you're an idiot if you just buy into everything. But uh, in his case, he was being blinded to the fact that he was an energy sensitive and that it was being used against him, and it's quickly deteriorating him to the point where he's just completely phased out. And it's my belief that this person doesn't have that much time left. I could be wrong, but I saw basically signs of him not remaining here very much longer. To where they're basically trying to harvest as much out of him as possible because of the fact that he won't acknowledge himself. He won't. Um it's basically to thine own self be true. He's not doing that. So therefore, if you're not doing that, what are you doing? Where are you lapsing? You know, you don't always have to be completely aware of certain things, but at the same time, you got to be aware of who you are. And they're taking full advantage of that. The bad guys are taking full advantage of that situation. But the point is, the hyper temperament is a mixture of a ton of things: cosmic rays, earth energies, solar energies, AI, past life, genetic. Uh, it's the chaotic soup that you always hear us talking about. And but I have noticed in energy sensitive individuals, yes, they are all almost quick to temper or quick to be emotional in some fashion. That they are extremely attuned with the energies that are all over the place. And grounding is also very, very important during this. Can this be controlled? Yes, but that is a yes with a bunch of dots after it. It is quite difficult, and there is a lot of anxiety that forms around trying to fix these problems, and also encountering other people that are so hell-bent in staying within those problems that they trigger that in yourself. Like, I've encountered people that do that to me, that test those boundaries to the point where I'm healing, But at the same time, they don't honor the fact that I'm in a healing state, and they just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And then they expect a response other than temperament. That is also a definition of insanity right there, because of the fact they keep giving they're doing the same thing, expecting a different response. No, if you're pushing at somebody who is healing and you expect them to be kind to you, then you're an idiot, because that is a very poor expectation on the part of that person. So, not to cast judgment, but these are the situations by which I have encountered. Yes, do the bad guys take over those people that, since they're in that slightly a lower vibrational state, and do they use them as puppets to be the button pushers? Absolutely. But does that force you to evolve so there is no button to push? Yes, also absolutely. But I'm not saying that it is easy. What these people are doing with those energies is they're helping with that process. But at the same time, energy sensitives have a really tough time. Also, people that have certain anxiety, say surrounding the mask, for instance, I'll use that as an example. Some people, have even told me, well, why is that so hard to just put on a mask? I'll tell you. Since it is a symbol of oppression now, which some of these people don't understand that it is, and it's become almost a worshipped artifact on both sides. These symbols of oppression trigger these past events, whether they're secret space program, which I did have masks forcibly put on me there, but also past lives where masks were symbols of death, symbols of oppression, and symbols of basically authority over people, which essentially is what it is now. But people have forgotten that history. These people that are remembering these things, even from ages past, are remembering the anxieties that go with it. And this is why there is such an intolerance for that, because they recognize history repeating itself. And they recognize that this is not supposed to be this way. They recognize that it is a failing on our part to allow these things. And they have to come in to correct these energies and course correct that history. That's why some of these people are here to do this to begin with. But those anxieties are still very real, and they are not accounted for, no matter what their origin point is. They're not accounted for by those other people, and therefore that could be seen as a form of disrespect, at least in my opinion. That is, and that's why the temperament comes out. Some people will see it as a form of being, it's simple. Just put the mask on, be compliant, nothing bad will happen, and they don't see it in the way that history has recorded it as, because they're not viewing it in that way. They're viewing it as just another thing to do in life. Like, okay, all the other ridiculous things that are out there that people have incorporated as just a natural part of life, which there's nothing natural about it. They've labeled it as such. They get into this habitual pattern of doing it, but there's nothing natural about it, other than human nature to, sometimes want to be in comforts rather than be free. And like the line in Doctor Who, I swear you people enjoy it. Well, there is a truth to that. There is a definite truth to that, where people have become comfortable with situations of oppression versus wanting to get rid of it, because it's too hard for them to get rid of it. They don't want to expend the energy and the time to do it. They just want to just restore everything to normal. Well, it wasn't normal to begin with. It was an oppressive illusion.
But it's on both sides of that coin,
Yeah.
because you also have people that have been in a warrior mentality for many, 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 many lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the river is going in the direction where things are being untangled, they are going, but maybe again, not in the instant pudding way, which will frustrate the warrior. And sometimes a warrior personality cannot relax.
And this is also
And
why
so it's on both sides that this problem occurs.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's not on both sides.
No, I think it's important to say that though, because it really isn't just affecting one, it's affecting everybody in different ways and different abilities or inabilities. Because I've always joked at Chris, I know we'd like to go take a nice vacation to a beach or whatever, but I swear I don't think that you could sit down more than 5 minutes. You'd be like, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? What are we going to do?
Because see, people
Yeah.
that were in those past ages, they would always quest, they would always travel, they would
Right.
always go places, they would always be in constant movement.
Right. And so just being able to do even remotely what now the gentleman we're talking to right now, where they've learned to just kind of be in the present moment, it's very difficult for people, for all kinds of reasons on all different sides of the coin, to learn how to just be in the current present moment. There's all this other stuff also coming in for all kinds of reasons. And, but it's, again, I always want to put down there, it's normally affecting all sides and not just one side.
It may appear to be only one side, but
it's not.
And this is also why there's a longing by older and ancient souls to go back to, say, stories like Conan, for instance, because they long for the time where it was simpler. They got things done quicker. They saw oppression. They cut its head off. It was like, that's why people long for times like that. They want to go back to things like that because they could get away with a lot more then. And now in this time, you have a lot more workarounds that seem foolish, that seem like you have to sidestep everything. It's not direct. You have to dance on the razor's edge constantly. People like myself, there is no razor's edge. I don't like dancing on the razor's edge. I don't like having to do that because there are more direct paths to the goal that if you could just part the sea and get rid of all of this other unnecessary piping, let's just say, there's a straight path to the finish line. And that's why people long for those times, because it's much simpler. Granted, the Orions created a lot of these complexities to confuse people and just make them be more subservient. And they built those complexities and that confusion up over a period of time. That's why people want to go back to before that. But that's what people have to put up with now. People that are in, say, my position, where I'm seeing things as they're supposed to be. I'm seeing things as the world as it's supposed to be, not always as it is. And these beings are also, they see it as it's supposed to be, as they're living it, but they're seeing it as it is. And I'm not blind. I see what's going on, but I see how it can be corrected. I see how, if they would implement certain solutions, that they and decompartmentalize a lot of the stuff that they're doing, if they would just implement certain things and not bow to these authorities all the time. Here's a great example of this, where these people just don't hear you. It just doesn't register that they're doing anything wrong to you. And you don't want to get into an argument with these people. I sure don't. I don't want to have to get into a fight with anybody. I really don't. But if I know that they are not acting in the line my father would use, not acting in the color of office, meaning the term means that they're not acting as a person should be acting. They are not acting as an enlightened being would act. And they are still technically ascended beings with just far more junk on top of their energy. They're not acting as a soul, an enlightened soul would. And that's what frustrates me. I see them, the real them.
Well, you've always been able to see, I always refer to it as the potential.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever Chris is looking at people and looking at their life and looking at different things, he kind of can see the potential energy that's available for that particular lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be logical to conclude that a person was supposed to reach that highest of potential in that lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always actually happening.
And there's
that way.
multiple ways to get to that potential,
right.
too.
But it's not always happening. And some people will leave this lifetime never hitting that potential line. And so I think that was kind of something, again, that's really difficult when you see the possibility of the potential. At first always thinking, years ago, always thinking that that's where they're supposed to be reaching. But now seeing it for really what it is was just only that there is a potential that a soul can, let's say, clean off the whatever, but it's not necessarily the end game of the life. It's again, since people are creating their life as they go, whatever. So within a lifetime, you have this boom, probable potential of, with everything going right, with everything being cleaned off properly, with everything being done, you could potentially get here. However, it seems that many people aren't, they're somewhere, which is not wrong, which is not, unenlightened, which is not doing better, which is not anything like that. It just seems to be what's been hard, I think, for persons like yourself, is that you're able to see the end, the potential end, and then, but where a person ends up within all that really is the soul's journey. However, it would be very frustrating if you saw all the potential, and if everyone would just reach for the potential, a lot of these other problems would have drifted away by now.
And
So it gets very frustrating.
yeah, and not meeting up to, that also goes back to expectation, having expectation on people. And yeah, is it very frustrating to be told by people that have not reached that, they see people like me and like her as a pain in the ass. Well, I hope so, because the fact that we're disrupting that system, we're changing that system. So I hope they see it as a slight pain in the ass, but I also hope one day they see it as having been beneficial. Like, we even ran into people on our vacation where they were so stern, and especially with the COVID stuff. The COVID stuff has brought out the inner idiot in these cases, and instead of basically, it's been covering up more so of the real person, and it makes it hard to go past that. And it's been rough on myself, rough on my mother, Joanna, Laverne, everybody. And it's like you're almost losing something of yourself. But what you're losing isn't really anything, I guess, worth keeping. I suppose you're learning more out of it, even though there's a lot of PTSD that's being formed out of this. I'm not saying that's beneficial, but there's something different and better that's happening as a result. And when I get a better definition of that, I'll let people know. But again, we encountered some of these people that were completely locked into this, completely locked in. And not as much here, but when we were in Vegas, I encountered people that were totally locked into this. And from where I stand, I don't see any reason to be locked into it. I'm outside of it. And I stand outside of this and survey it and look at it. But if I engage with them, do I get locked in? Yeah, because I get frustrated at people basically dictating what they feel is true that we know is not. And they are enforcing it as a rule of law. And I'm meaning going back to the COVID and the mask thing. Again, this may seem simple, but it's far from simple. It may seem like, oh, just put the mask on, you'll be fine. No, this still triggers these anxieties, and I end up, not being able to do my work properly. This may seem like it's stupid or a pain in the ass to some of these people that are not sensitive to that. But like these people, they are still quick to temper. They're still quick to get influenced by those energies. And people that are locked into it, they're sense blind to it. They're completely sense blind to it. So it's not really having that drastic, dramatic effect in public or anywhere else. It's not going, it's not doing that because they're sense blind to it. They're attuned to it, like a tuning fork. But somebody who is not attuned to that, who is affecting the attunement of that vibration, is going to get the attention of those people trying to protect that system. Like in the Matrix, those that are so inert and locked into the system will fight to protect it. Those are the type of people that I am speaking about, that frustrate the holy living hell out of me. Even though I recognize that's where they are, I don't want our vacations and our trips and anywhere disrupted by those that aim at us, because they feel that we're on some level they know we're not locked into that, so they're desperately trying to get us locked into that and try to suck us back into that, which because they think we're some kind of anomaly or some pain in the ass that's trying to destroy society, but it's the exact opposite. We're helping to transmute and heal society from those that are locked into it. Granted, people like us get sucked into it because these people tend to force our hand every now and again by getting in our face, literally and figuratively. But this is what we're up against. It's not easy to traverse around these people. Your energy, if you're at a certain level, will affect these people, and they'll start to be also quick to temper. This will trigger some things in them that maybe they don't want to look at right now. This will trigger things buried in them they don't want to look at, and they would much rather keep it buried. But since if you're doing your inner work and your vibration is higher and you're around people who look at you like you're an alien, and they may even think it's evil and try to snuff you. And those are the people I've run into. And are they damned hard to ignore? Yes, they are. Because especially if they get, they get locked into this system, they expect you just to be compliant and be part of it. Where you, as an much older and wiser soul, see no use for that system, because you come from a system that it just plain didn't exist in. And that's where I'm coming from with that. Coming from a world where these things don't exist, where they're coming into a world where they're comfortable with those things existing, and those two worlds collide quite often. And when they collide, it can be explosive. Granted, the idea is not to allow it to be by not engaging that, but there are those occasions where they just make it damn difficult to ignore them. And they just say something so incredibly stupid or do something so incredibly stupid that you have to take note of it. And I know stupid is a label, but I'm just saying that is a situation that I am personally confronted with. And I know how, with Jabratson here, when I was, even for the hour I waited to speak to him, and he was standing in the living room with us, he was frustrated as holy hell that I wasn't resolving it. That he even said that was on him, basically. The frustration was his. But they admitted that they are quick to temper because of that energy sensitivity. See, that my not being able to fix that fast enough was frustrating him. And that's where I see it. If I see somebody that's disrupting my energy field, I'm the same as them. Where if you're in my face telling me what's what when I know it's not what's what, and you're affecting my energy with your thought forms and accosting me with your energetic field, or aren't acknowledging your psychic abilities and are costing my own psychic abilities and debilitating my ability to conduct myself properly, what do you expect you're going to get in return?
It's hard because, there comes a point when you get so frustrated. And I'm not saying Chris, I'm saying this as a general statement, where you become so frustrated that you may actually now be, it's okay to be frustrated, but you reach a point of now you're starting to debalance yourself.
It does get to that point where then you become vulnerable, if you linger in it. Now, do you have legitimate feelings behind it? Oh God, yes.
Sure, but it's I hate to say it's the game. It's the game. This is the game being played to see how readily people that are, energy sensitive, people that are trying to raise the frequencies overall, how they can be destabilized for someone else's, if they can get you to destabilize, then they're actually still manipulating and still able to keep certain control. So, there's that interesting dynamic now of how not to destabilize in order not to allow them to destabilize the frequency. And so they'll destabilize you to bring the frequency down. So it's an interesting dynamic. I don't know if if he does anything in particular, if he realizes that he is becoming too destabilized. Is there a recognition that it goes too far?
Yes, there is. And others in his society can feel it as well. If they've gone too far with it, and what do? They sit by the fire. They have a fire, but they have like this big, like, they're on this like cliff face and they have like this cave and they have this like fire pit and they sit by this. And it looks like they look into the flames or something. They go into, it seems like they go into a meditative state to kind of recenter themselves and reground themselves. See, they walk around barefoot and everything. They don't have any shoes or anything. They're barefoot on the ground, and they can reground very quickly. But yeah, his frustration to me is the same way I get frustration to others.
But I think it's
Yeah.
important to
Yeah.
say that there has to be also recognition and understanding the strategy. I call it of the game, guys. It's a game. It's the strategy of the game being employed. And that again, there really isn't a human walking on earth who isn't susceptible to the influences of not even recognizing they're in the midst of a game with a different energy. And do they want to destabilize themselves and again let the other energy win at this moment, or try to venting a little is not a big deal. But again, if you've gone too far and you're staying too far in it, how do you then reground yourself to try and quickly bring that frequency, back to a different level? Because this is actually what really goes on. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with seeing it and being frustrated by it. Of course not. But again, when there's a destabilization moment of now your frequency is being lowered, and you may not recognize that you're in the midst of that. The other interesting dynamic with it all is the fact that what really can bring you back is something that is difficult for you to do. First, for a lot of people, it's very difficult if you're going from 0 to 60, how you bring yourself back down to 0. And the concept of sitting still, the concept of getting into that meditative state, that concept of free grounding, it's very difficult for people to quickly move themselves back. So the one thing that actually happens here between the two of us, which I know frustrates the living shit out of him sometimes, I'm just going to be honest, is that when an escalation begins to occur, I immediately go now to try to find a neutral place. My philosophy, and again, I'm not saying that is 100%, 1000% a balanced response either. I'm saying as an opposite almost as what he does. I go to a place where I just consider like almost nothing, like a neutrality. My rationale in that moment is that I feel a game's going on and I don't want to give them 1 ounce of anything. So and I am not saying that is the way to handle this. I'm not saying that is the perfect approach, because I know at times it can be a great avoidance to do things like that as well. So I think sometimes it's the right thing to do. Sometimes it may not be really what, should occur, but I do not want to lose control. I do not want to be pulled into the game. And so it tends to be where I currently try to go to. And as I tell him all the time, I just don't want to lend any, I don't want to get hooked. I don't want to give, I want them to, if they're trying to stir something, I want them to use all their energy stirring the pot and they get nothing from me and let them die off right there.
And see, also, this is the reasoning that I wanted to go on what I call a timeout in, a vacation, because all of those not being able to be stirred, if that makes sense. But when you continuously encounter these things, that makes it virtually impossible. At least to me, because they're constantly always trying to keep me in that stirred state where I'm attempting to bring it back down, and I don't want to be isolated in the house forever. So I get the expectation where it's like, okay, now these people have to change. Now these people have to stay out of my way. And it's like, I'm now on vacation. I am now spreading the, parting the seas. I do not want this interference. And for the most part, yeah, there were places where it did work. But there were those times where things really pushed, and it's like, no, I don't want that on my vacation. I don't want those things to take place.
So we're just trying to be honest now, because there's something really important to talk about this, concept of quick to temper versus, versus going into neutrality. Because again, in that, even going into, let's say, that neutrality, there could be too much compliance. There could be too much. I'm one that if I needed to go into a grocery store to grab something really quick, and if I had to put on a mask to do it, I'm just going to get in there with the mask on, barely on my nose, get in there, do it, and get out, because I don't want to waste any time with this. And I don't want to be driving to another store. It's not worth it at that moment to me. For some people, even that moment would be worth it. They drive to a different store. I'm not going to say that we certainly haven't been frequenting places where these huge mask requirements are. We choose not to do that. But in moments I will, just to not take up more of my time. But again, I'm not saying, I don't think we've perfected things. I don't say that, I think there is a destabilization that sometimes happen. I know you agree with some of the ways where every now and then you'll get hooked and stay into something. And I'm not saying that me going into this is always the correct answer. It's not that guys, you won't always see me do this. I think Courtside is a great example where I do not always do this, but I am saying that sometimes just going into a neutral and not engaging is the right answer.
But now there are those times where you have to do it to defend, but
right. And so do I always hit the mark on that balance? I'm sure I don't, but no one is going to be perfected. But you need to understand, I think the importance of all of this conversation today is really just to help people understand that we know that this is complicated. We know that this is, personal growth and attempting to stay balanced into some very difficult situations. We're not going to, we share with you what we think works at times. We know the struggle, and I don't personally like pretending that there isn't one when there is. And and always, for all these last years, if we find out something new that we think is valuable to share, we try to desperately share it. But I'm just acknowledging the struggle. I don't want us to pretend that these things aren't really happening to us, because they really are. There is no one human walking this earth who is perfected, and anyone pretending to be, you should be questioning, what's really going on here? Because it is just not true in the current evolution for humanity that we would be reaching that state. And so we're in a very big growth time. And again, part of this enormous pressure for those people out there that have not been responding is to put so much pressure on them that they do something. They make a move. They move a little. They do something. So the pressures are heating up. And I think a lot of I think there is what we would call positive movement. We hate to say that, an energetic movement beginning. Simple wins, simple things. I'll tell you, like, for example, Facebook now not deleting posts that say that, things may have derived from the Wuhan lab. All that was being censored, where they've realized maybe there's some truth to this. We're going to allow this conversation. I think
because people have been putting those energies out, just like this species is. I know this started out as a species discussion, but
it is kind of still, because I feel that
they wanted that.
I feel it. This has got to be a part of the overall discussions, because anybody walking around in this kumbaya kind of, scenario. I'm not saying they're not having a timeout life. I'm not saying that's not possible in this. It is possible. Anything is possible. But in general, we have to acknowledge the whole. And for many people right now, this is a really high struggle time, whether they realize it or not. And, people are being affected, and they in general aren't necessarily recognizing the struggle that they're in. But to take time to, again, I meant to ask this, but I didn't. How much time do you guys spend? Do you go to sleep when the sun goes down? Does the sun go down? Or do you spend a lot of time stargazing?
Both, the sun does go down and they do stargazing. So they do come out, they sit out there and they look at everything,
And does that bring peace for you to do that?
Yes.
So I think it's important, the simple things that are being re-brought up as far as the grounding and what you can do to try and bring a balance back. What little things, not money things, little things can you actually do to, help to reground yourself? And in the midst of a frustration, where you really feel you're going to go back into a spinning of a cycle of wanting to complain the rest of the day or whatever it is, how can you break that quickly? Interacting with nature is a good way, be it you have a few plants or whatever. What can you do to not let it get to the point of now you're becoming unbalanced? The little things that you can do, be it step outside and just look at nature, look for birds, like for me, look for plants, talk to them, let them wave to you, whatever it is, to try and as quickly as possible bring yourself back will help you, but will help your energetics stay at a higher level in a very, very frustrating time.
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. You have to completely stay grounded and know that also when you've hit a certain limitation and when to surpass it. And as much as I loathe walking on this razor's edge, and I know there is a different way of doing things, just like I communicate with these beings as a matter of fact. And some people, they would be spooked like that. They would shut down completely. And to me, that is very, very frustrating because, if you're looking at something, just like I'm looking at this window, or I'm looking at the painting, or I'm looking at the desk, looking at this statue, that's a matter of fact. It's right here. Well, other people are like, say, if somebody couldn't see the desk or couldn't see the computer or couldn't see the stars, couldn't see the plants, couldn't see the rocks they're walking on, couldn't even hear it as you're walking on them, couldn't see the grass, and you were seeing it, they would either laugh at you or they would shut down if you tried to talk about it, thinking it was spooky and incoherent. Well, it's right there. That's very, very frustrating. And I've run into that my whole life, and it just keeps coming up, keeps coming up, keeps coming up. And so therefore, I've had to not react to it. I've had to remain grounded. And as you hear Viking and me say all the time, stay in the passion, stay in the creativity. But that's also quite difficult at times. But is there anything you want to add to Bratson to this? I know that you've said to me here periodically that this is what you wanted to happen. I think this was like the main crux of why you wanted to come in anyway. So beyond what was done before with the shoulder and everything. Do you want to add anything to this before we end this discussion? Saying we've said it all, and they're also partially influencing this too. There's a whole group of them. So yeah, if people saw them, they would be almost spooked at them. They have these long horns and everything, and they're like, nah. Like that. They're easygoing unless you piss them off. But it's like, but yeah, they can go back into that center by just sitting around the fire or looking at the stars or engaging in their artwork, passion, ceremony, all of that. And that's basically what they're trying to relay here. Yes, and because of our energies here and because of their frustrations, of course, it gets higher and higher. But they're basically saying, things will change. Might not be as fast as people want, but it will change. it happened quickly for them because of the way that bubble was set up, linking up to now. But no, the way they saw it is not the way we would see it. You know, that was a special circumstance, right? There was a whoosh, and it realigned like a egg timer. But that's basically how they wanted to end it. Anything else, guys? That was it. Will you be in further communications? I know we kind of trailed off the mark a little bit from you guys, but you wanted it this way anyway. This is how they communicate. They wanted to have that discussion along with them. So we can say this is a talk with the elementals, and basically it's a discussion with us too. So thank you everybody for watching this video on our Patreon subscription or wherever it happens to end up in subscription form. So thank you everybody. Bye-bye.